Hello everybody, welcome to this new devlog on my city builder game made with Unity. Previously I showed you that in the game I could already generate procedural maps and that I could design biomes for it. In these biomes I can shape the ground and also manage the repartition of the resources. I showed you that I could already create buildings like simple houses that allow me to gain population but consume food, or buildings that could recolt the resources present in the nature, like trees or rocks, but also could generate these resources, for example crops, olives or grapes. I also have another type of building that gets some resources to transform it into new resources, like planks made with wood or furniture made with planks. It takes time for buildings to exchange resources, so there already is a management mechanic by choosing where to place each building. Here is a mirror board to illustrate how I see the state of the game. I consider the game to still be in a pre-production phase, if not prototyping. To complete this pre-production phase, my goal is to have a full gameplay loop to be able to win or lose a game. After the last video, my next step was to have a world map, where the player can choose what city spot he wants for his first city, and IA players occupy some of the other spots. To win a game, the player needs to dominate the continent. The first way to succeed at it that I will implement will be with trade. The player will have a sympathy score with each IA player and will be able to increase this score by selling or buying goods with them. It will also be possible to send gifts or requests. This should remind some of you of the diplomacy in the game Zeus, Master of Olympus. As you can see, the graphism part is totally empty. As I said in the first episode, I don't want to do any graphism work. I want to collaborate with someone, so if you're interested, please contact me with the mail address that I put in the description. To create the world map, my starting point was the ground generator that I use on my city maps. I first added the possibility to add a mask to a biome. This mask will just be a big formula that multiplies the height value of the biome by a value between 0 and 1 depending on these coordinates. I plan to be able to create different kinds of masks like rivers or seaside, but for now I needed a nylon mask. So first I generated a simple disc shape with a min and max radius. Then I can add a parallel noise distortion. I can add harmonics to have multiple sizes of distortion. This also allows to generate some little islands. Then I created a biome that is not really one, but is the data that determines the base shape of the continent. Then I add the mask, et voila! I am already pretty close to the result I'm looking for. It will be enough for now. Then I need to generate the city spots. For that, here is what happened. First, I loop through the vertices of the generated map. I check the height value of the vertex, and for the moment, I apply this simple rule. If the Y value is low, it's a seaside, if it's high, it's a mountain, and if it's in between, it's a lowland, and I populate lists of possible city spots of each type. I created a simple data called world map settings that allow me to specify some biomes to link to the city spots type. So now, seaside gives a seaside biome, mountain gives a mountain biome, and lowland gives riverside. And I specify what quantity I want of each one. Now I can pick the desired quantity of random elements in the lists of possible spots. And I also remove of the list all the spots that are too close to the picked ones. And boom! I have my city spots properly distributed across the map. The next thing I needed to do was to give each of these spots a singularity by modifying the presence of resources of the biome. So I created a struct that is a resource modifier, and to set up the modifier, I take the list of resources present in a biome, and half of it would be present in great quantity, and the other half would be present in only half the quantity. These settings are of course just a first design. I plan to be able to design all kinds of modifiers. It can also be something available to the player when he will start a game with custom settings. Finally, I added UI for the city spots. When I click one, I can see the biome type and the amount of resources. Then I can start a new city in this spot. Here, for example, we can see that I have a lot of pasture with grape clay pits, but not a lot of tree, olivier, greens and rocks. So let's keep in mind that, tree, olivier, green, rocks. I can start a new city. And here, if I check the resource overlay, we will see that, for example, for the olivier, the highest value won't be 100. But for example, for the pasture, we can see that the max value is close to 100. I spent some time creating an escape menu to be able to go back to the main menu without quitting the game. It works properly from the world map, but I don't know why, if I go back to the main menu from the city and start a new game, I can't control my camera anymore and I have this strange error. If someone has a clue about it, let me know. I also added the possibility to switch between the city view and the world map view. For now, I can create a new city on each spot, but the previous one is lost. This is perfect transition to tell you about my next steps, that will be to work on a save and load system. It's an important topic. It is of course necessary for the player to be able to quit the game and come back to his saves, but I also need it to be able to switch between different cities of the player in the same game without to keep it all loaded in memory. It will also be very useful to test the game without to have to start from scratch every time. After that, to have the full game loop, I will start implementing simple IA players and the buildings to trade with them. Thank you all for watching and see you soon in the next episode.